Have you ever felt like the weight of life was just too much? Like you're carrying something invisible but unbearably heavy? Some days it's a heartbreak. Other days it's just getting out of bed. And yet somehow, some people still keep going. Not just surviving, but living with purpose. Why? Nietzsche had an answer. He said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." And in these 15 words lies a truth that can change how you see everything. This video is about that quote, what it means, where it came from, how psychology and philosophy have built entire frameworks around it, and most importantly, how you can use it to make sense of your struggles and maybe even find peace. Let's dive in. Friedrich Nietzsche wasn't a calm philosopher sitting in luxury. He was sick, isolated, misunderstood, and just a few years after writing this quote, he would lose his mind completely. He wrote these words in 1888 in a book called Twilight of the Idols, as he watched the old systems of belief crumble and tried to rebuild meaning in a world that felt increasingly chaotic. This quote isn't about inspiration, it's about survival. Nietzsche believed that humans can endure enormous suffering if they know why they're suffering. And he wasn't the only one. Let's slow it down. He who has a why to live. The why is your purpose, your reason for waking up. Not always grand, not always pretty, but real, personal, can bear almost any how. The how is your pain, the suffering, the obstacles, the mess. What Nietzsche is saying is simple but powerful. When you have meaning, you become unbreakable. You might bend, you might fall, but you don't shatter. And this quote has echoed far beyond Nietzsche's own time. During the Holocaust, in one of the darkest places in human history, this quote saved lives. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, quoted Nietzsche in his book, Man's Search for Meaning. In the concentration camps, he noticed something chilling. Those who had a reason to live, a child, a dream, a goal, were far more likely to survive. Frankl built an entire therapy model around this idea. He called it logotherapy, therapy through meaning. Then there's Maslow with his famous hierarchy of needs. At the very top, self-actualization, purpose, fulfillment. Modern psychology agrees too. Studies show that people who feel their life has meaning experience less stress, less depression, and even longer lives. All this science from one powerful idea. Purpose makes pain survivable. But not everyone agrees with Nietzsche's quote, and that's important, because any idea worth holding should also be questioned. Some people hear the words, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how," and they feel pressure. They think, what if I can't find my why? Does that mean I'm weak? Am I doomed to suffer without meaning? This quote, though powerful, can sometimes backfire, especially in our modern world where purpose has become another product to chase. We live in a time of endless comparison. Social media floods us with people who seem to have it all figured out. Their dream jobs, perfect relationships, morning routines, passion projects. It can feel like everyone else has this grand burning why, and you're just trying to make it to next week. So when people hear this quote, they may not feel inspired. They may feel inadequate, ashamed, even more lost than before, and that's a valid concern. There's another critique, the danger of glorifying suffering. This quote can be used to glorify suffering, as if pain is noble, as if trauma automatically builds character. Some people take it to mean, you should suffer. It's good for you. Just toughen up. But that was never Nietzsche's point. He wasn't romanticizing pain. He wasn't saying you must suffer to grow. He was saying if suffering is already part of your life, and for most of us it is, then it becomes bearable when it has a purpose. It's not a call to seek out suffering. It's a call to not let suffering be in vain. It's about finding a why so that the pain doesn't become meaningless. So that hardship doesn't hollow you, it deepens you. Whose why are you chasing? Another common trap is chasing the wrong why. So many of us inherit our purpose from others. Society tells us what a successful life looks like. Parents plant expectations before we've even learned who we are. Instagram sells us an endless stream of goals, aesthetics, and ideals. But Nietzsche's quote wasn't about external validation. It wasn't, "He who has society's approval can bear any how." It wasn't, "She who has the perfect career or partner or body can handle life." It was, "He who has a why, his own, internal, personal, authentic." So when people say, "I can't find my why," sometimes what they mean is, "I've been chasing a why that doesn't belong to me." And that's the problem. Your purpose doesn't have to be extraordinary. It has to be true. No why yet. That's okay. Here's another counterpoint, and it's one I deeply respect. What if you're just not in a place to find a purpose right now? What if you're dealing with depression or grief or survival-level stress? Sometimes just existing is enough. Sometimes your why is to breathe, to rest, to hold on. That's not weakness. That's humanity. Finding purpose isn't always a lightning strike. It's a slow uncovering, a gradual noticing, a tender conversation with yourself. So if you're in that place, please know this: you don't have to rush it. You don't have to force a reason to live just because a philosopher said it would help. You're allowed to not know. You're allowed to heal. Nietzsche wasn't prescribing shame. He was offering hope. He was saying when life hurts, and it will, meaning can be medicine, but it must be your medicine, not someone else's formula, not a self-help slogan. So yes, this quote can be misused. It can be twisted into toxic positivity. It can become a weapon that blames people for their pain. It can make suffering seem glamorous instead of hard. But used wisely, with compassion, with humility, it can also be a lifeline. Because once you find a reason, no matter how small, how personal, how quiet, to keep going, the weight you carry doesn't disappear, but it starts to feel possible to bear. And that is what Nietzsche really meant. Let's now bring Nietzsche's insight into the reality of our daily lives. Because let's be honest, most of us aren't sitting in a candlelit library pondering the purpose of existence. We're trying to deal with Monday morning, heartbreak, rent, burnout, loneliness. The how of life can be brutal. So what does it really mean to have a why? It doesn't have to be this huge dramatic purpose. It's not about saving the world or becoming the next Einstein. Here are 3 practical, deeply human ways to find or reconnect with your why, even in the middle of chaos. 1. Micro-purpose. Finding meaning in the small moments. Most people think purpose has to be a grand, lifelong mission, but sometimes the most powerful why is tiny and quiet. It's waking up and deciding to be gentle with yourself today. It's choosing to text a friend just to let them know you care. It's saying, "Today I'm going to show up, even if I'm tired, even if I feel like I'm falling apart." Purpose doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. For a student, it could be finishing a paragraph of an essay. For a parent, it could be holding their child just a little longer than usual. For someone healing, it could be drinking water and stepping into the sunlight. These micro-purposes add up. They create a rhythm, a direction, a momentum. And over time, they build something stronger than motivation, meaning. So ask yourself not what is my life's purpose, but rather, what can I care about today? What small thing can I do that aligns with who I want to be? That's micro-purpose, and it's powerful. 2. Reframe the story, from victim to hero. The second strategy is to reframe your story. When we're hurting, it's easy to ask, why is this happening to me? But what if you asked instead, what am I learning from this? How is this shaping me? You are not just someone who suffers. You are the author of a story. And every good story has conflict, a hero, a moment where things fall apart and something deeper is revealed. Think of every painful experience as a chapter, not the conclusion. You're not at the end of your book. You're in the middle of a plot twist. So instead of saying, this breakup ruined me, say, this breakup taught me what I truly value in love. Instead of, I failed again, try, I discovered what doesn't work. And that's still a step forward. Reframing doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means choosing to see yourself as someone who is growing, not someone who is broken. It's one of the most empowering shifts you can make. 3. Legacy questions. Thinking beyond the moment. And finally, the third approach. Legacy questions. Ask yourself, how do I want to be remembered? Whose life could I change just by being me? Sometimes we lose sight of our purpose because we're only looking at the present moment. But meaning often reveals itself when we zoom out. Think of your life like a garden. Every act of kindness, every truth spoken, every time you show up when it's hard, those are seeds. You may not see the harvest immediately, but someone else might eat from the tree you planted. That's legacy, and you don't need a platform, 1 million followers, or a grand career to leave one. You leave a legacy by listening, by forgiving, by creating, by caring. Even if it's just one person, even if that person is you, your existence has a ripple effect, and when you remember that, your pain doesn't feel pointless. It feels transformed. So here's the truth Nietzsche pointed to. Life will hurt. It will be uncertain. But if you can find something, even one thing, to live for, the suffering doesn't have to crush you. It becomes bearable. It becomes fuel. It becomes meaningful. And meaning, not comfort, is what makes us resilient. So ask yourself today, what small purpose can I live for right now? How can I rewrite the painful parts of my story? What kind of legacy do I want to leave behind just by being fully myself? Answer those, and suddenly the how of life isn't as heavy. You're not just surviving anymore, you're becoming. So, what is your why? You don't have to figure it all out today, but maybe, just maybe, asking the question is enough to take one more step forward. Remember, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Thank you for being here. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and consider subscribing. This is just the beginning. More deep dives are on the way. Leave a comment. What's something that gives your life meaning right now? I'd love to hear your thoughts.